open more days than public school, and you have a longer school day. Is that correct?
I don't know that we have a longer school day, but we are open. We're not subject to closures, or our teachers, they're in service all the time, so we have a lot less fewer in-service day. We do take Good Friday off, so that's something we do that the public schools don't do. And you're right. These ladies that we have, it's Mr. Wetherall and 10 ladies who are at Kingsview, and that's quite an adjustment for me, and I assume for them. They've only had 2 administrators before me in the 30 years of Kingsview history, so they aren't used to a lot of change, and I'm a bit of a change oftentimes. But you're right. Our staff is tops. I think every one of them is taught in public school. I think they relish the opportunity to share spiritually with the children as well as scholastically. But I don't want Kingsview to say, oh, we're a good Christian school, and that's it, because we want to be a great scholastic school as well as a good Christian school. And I think you're right. I think parents feel comfortable there, and I think that our students can be pushed more, and it's hard to fall through the cracks at Kingsview, and even if you wanted to, it would be very difficult. But you're right. The quality of education is there. Our students aren't a lot different than a lot of students. I mean, people tell me, wow, what an easy job over there at the Christian, all those little Christian kids, perfect. And I go, well, forgiven. But
that's a myth.
Yeah, and we have a family, and I know that's an overused term, but we have a family approach at Kingsview. I mean, some of those teachers have been there a long time. Some of these families have been there forever with all their different children, and now have their grandchildren there. So it's a pretty close knit unit, and like I say, we've struggled to be accredited. We are accredited by the Northwest Accreditation of private and public schools. So we have the same accreditation as any public school in the area. Our teachers are all certified in the state of Oregon. Our curriculum, even though it is a quote-unquote Christian-based curriculum, is also adopted by the state of Oregon. So not only do we want to approach our students spiritually, but we want to approach them educationally, and we get a great opportunity to do that. And for me, it's a great experience having taught high school English for 40 years. Now I watch students like Sweet Hannah there. So I've known her since she was in kindergarten, and when you teach in a high school or public school, they're there, then they're gone, and you move on to the next group. But it's really wonderful to watch the development of students and as they come and go throughout the Kingsview system.
And for our viewers, Hannah is the daughter of Susanne Beaulieu, which I will go to right now because we brought up the family, and Susanne has one child there, Hannah. So the quality of education is just really just superior in your eyes.
It is.
Than what was offered at the public school, and it's helped prepared your oldest daughter for what awaits her after high school. And what does your youngest daughter, Hannah, say about her experiences there at the school?
Hannah doesn't say much. She's pretty quiet. She's a pretty happy, content little girl, and she enjoys her education there. She's always coming home with new things, and she just loves learning. Her teacher this year was really wonderful at challenging her. I wouldn't say, she's just a smart little girl, and if she would have been in the public school, she probably wouldn't have been challenged by the teachers because the teachers wouldn't have had time to give her some extra things to do.
What grade is she in?
She's going to be in 4th grade.
I see. So she's been there from kindergarten? Or?
Preschool.
From preschool, I see. So why is it important for the community to have choices like a nonprofit private school versus a public school?
I think the ratio, the teacher to student ratio that you mentioned before is a big deal. Like, you know, some of these kids that were getting labeled as ADD, you know, going into the public school, they may not have gotten, you know, the assistance that they needed. Whereas when they're in a school like Kingsview, the teachers have the chance to just, you know, give these kids the challenges they need and help them transition in their school years very well without letting them, you know, get left behind in certain things.
I see. Mr. Wetherall, different types of programs that you have at Kingsview. For instance, I know you have your own library there. Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe perhaps some technology?
You bet. First of all, I'd like to correct, we don't consider our parents. When you introduce Susanne as a parent, she's much more than that. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, they're involved in what we do. I spent 40 years in the high school, and I don't know how many parents I had to discuss anything with, you know, unless I sought it out. But they seek me out quite frequently, and that really helps us. Susanne was in charge of our golf-a-thon. And again, our tuition only pays about 2/3 of the cost of running the school. So my least favorite thing is fundraising and asking people for money. But our parents are people that part of the Kingsview family, and they work a lot harder than we do sometimes on these things. Because if we had to spend our time raising the money ourselves, and not that we don't get involved, but it would take away from what we're trying to do there.
Well, since we're speaking about money, and you spent 40 years in the public school system, do you think it basically boils down to parents paying for their child's education? That's why they're more involved versus their tax dollars paying for the education?
See, I didn't used to be a voucher man when I was in the public school system, but I'm kind of leaning toward the voucher system as far as parents having a choice for education. You know, parents have a choice, and when they have to pay, I think it makes it more important to them, and it makes them more involved with it, and it makes them want to make sure they're getting what they want for their money. And we don't think that any of them are intimidated by any of us at the school, and we don't want it that way. We want them to come in. I don't always agree with everything they have to say to me, but that's okay too. And we work together, and I think, you know, as much as I hate fundraising, I think that kind of brings us together also, because we know what we're involved with, we know what we have to do, and we have many, many wonderful parents who make that possible. We do a lot of different things at Kingsview. We have, and you mentioned technology. This year, everybody from first grade through the 8th grade was involved in computer. We have a computer lab. We just opened a new building this Christmas, right after Christmas, and that building has been under construction since 1986. The church decided to do it the old-fashioned way, and that was build it after they had gotten the money, and so that's why it was from 86 to 2008. But we've moved into that with a huge new gymnasium, and we have a computer lab that is modern as anyone's, and we have an opportunity, like I say, with 12 first graders. This year they spent 2 days a week for an hour in the computer room. And
what did they do there? What did they do?
Well, first they begin keyboarding. They play little games, trying to get them accustomed to the mechanics of the situation. And mostly they do keyboarding for the first grade, then they move on. Our older students are doing digital photography on computers and doing those sort of things. So we have a guru there, Mr. McGill, Mark McGill, who knows computers like you wouldn't believe. And since he is not certified, I am in the room with Mr. McGill, but unfortunately I haven't picked up too much technology.